Assalamualaikum and a very good day. We are from Group Ojifu, and for our business statistic video, we will talk about Ogive or Ogive. An Ogive graph plots cumulative frequency on the y-axis and class boundaries on the x-axis. Now we will learn how to draw an Ogive graph. We will learn how to draw an Ogive graph with this set of data. The first step that we have to do is to make a relative frequency table. In relative frequency table, there are three columns. The first one is the class limits, the second column is the frequency, and the third column is the relative frequency. So now that we already have our set of data, we pretty much just have to organize them into the first and the second column, which are the class limit and the frequency. Now we learn how to make the relative frequency column. In order to make the relative frequency column, we pretty much have to take the frequency and divide it with the total of frequency. As an example, we take from the first row, which is the frequency is 5, and we divide it with the total number of frequency, which is 25, and then we get 0.2. Okay, so now that we have done for the first row, we will move on to the second row. The second row frequency is 5. So we pretty much have to do the same as the first row, in which the 5, which is the frequency for the second row, we divide it with 25, which is the total of the frequency, and we also get the same, which is 0.2. And now we move on to the third row, and the frequency for the third row is 6. So we divide 6 with the total number of frequency, which is 5, and then we will get 0.24. So now that we have found the relative frequency for the first, second and third row, we pretty much do the same for the other rows. So now that we are done with the first step, we will move on to the second step. For the second step, we will have to add another column, which is called the cumulative frequency. For the first row of the cumulative frequency, we just take 5 from the first row, which is the frequency for the first row, and put it into the column of the cumulative frequency. But for the second row, we have to take the frequency for the second row and add it to the first row of the cumulative frequency. As an example, we take 5, which is the frequency for the second row, and add it to the cumulative frequency from the first row, which is 5, and you will get 10. So the cumulative frequency for the second row is 10. And as for the third row, we take the frequency from the third row, which is 6, and we add it to the cumulative frequency for the second row, which is 10. So 10 plus 6 equals to 16, and that is the cumulative frequency for the third row. And it is pretty much the same for all the other rows. We will move on to step 3. For step 3, we will have to add another column, which is called the cumulative relative frequency. For the cumulative relative frequency, we have to refer to the relative frequency. For the first row, the relative frequency is 0.2. So we will get that 0.2 and put it under the cumulative relative frequency for the first row. As for the second row, the relative frequency, which is 0.2, and we add it with the first cumulative relative frequency, which is 0.2. So 0.2 plus 0.2, we get 0.4. And for the third row, we take 0.24, we add it with 0.4, and then we will get 0.64. And the same goes on for the other rows. Now we are on to step 4. For step 4, we have to draw the graph. And in order to draw the graph, we first have to draw the XY axis. For the y-axis, we have to put the cumulative relative frequency, which is 0 up to 100%. And as for the x-axis, we have to put the class boundaries. Step 5, plot your points. Step 6, connect the dots with straight lines. And then you will get a one continuous line called the ogif. And here is the